Welcome in to Greenville Grit, Greenville residents in touch on 103.7 WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Hello and welcome to Greenville Grit. I'm Terry Williams, here today with my co-host PJ Conley. With us again, he is our District 5 Greenville City Council representative, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we have our wonderful guest with us, Michael Glenn, who is an Uptown Greenville board member and a business owner here in Greenville, and we're going to be talking about some really important discussion on the town common and what's going on in Uptown area. PJ has a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure you do too, about different discussions that have been going on recently about maybe plans coming up for the town common and just other things and activities that are happening in Uptown Greenville. So we'll cover that in a little bit. First, we want to thank our sponsors of our show, Greenville Toyota, who've been with us since the very beginning. We thank them so much. If you are in the market for a new or a used vehicle, you can contact them by calling them at 252-321-3000, or you can visit them on Memorial Drive, or you can also visit them on the website at greenvilletoyota.com. We also enjoy having Ribeyes Steakhouse as a sponsor. They have two locations, one here in Greenville out on Fire Tower Road. They also have a location over in Williamston. If you're in that area, you can visit them there. They have wonderful steaks, terrific salad bar. They also serve other things besides steak. Pork chops are great. Just all sorts of good food. We appreciate them sponsoring us as well. And Overton Residential Properties. If you're looking for a home in the market for a brand new home or a rental, we can help you with that as well. You can contact me, Trey Williams, or Michelle Connors. We would love to help you. Visit us on the website at overtonresidential.com or 252-375-8620. So we'll look forward to our discussion coming up shortly about what's going on in the Uptown Greenville area and on our town common. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Greenville Grit. We're going to get right into the discussion. I know that there have been lots and lots of discussion in the past few weeks about what's going on in the town common, and there are a whole lot of ideas, PJ, from a whole lot of people about what they think ought to be planned to do with it, what kind of activities or what kind of construction or who should be doing it, who's going to pay for it. Maybe you could shed some light by being on our city council about your views, and then we want to get some ideas from Michael about what he thinks as a citizen and as an Uptown board member, sort of what their views might be.
Absolutely, yes. So the city has employed Roadside Hartwell, which is a landscape engineer firm that, and that what they've done is they've had a series of meetings and they've had a series of discussions with local citizens and also with the city council about designing a new master plan for the town common.
Okay.
Everybody knows we've got 20 acres of land sitting down there, and I like to say all the time, a lot of times there's more acreage than people at certain times. That's down
right.
there, and we've really pushed in January during our planning session. It was my first planning session as well as Councilmember Godley's first.
That's right.
Planning session, and one of the things that we really pushed for was we wanted to go ahead and move forward with town common. It's a vital piece of property down there, and there's so many different opportunities. But this firm has come in here and they've gotten a lot of input from the city and different things that the city's looking to do with the land. And this last Monday they had a meeting for the citizens. I think it was between 6 and 8 a.m. or 6 or 8 p.m. And they met and they were giving them kind of two different diagrams of what they saw the town commons looking like. It's a really neat piece of land down there. It's something that I think a consensus-wise for the entire city council, and I think for all the citizens too, they want to do something down there. They want to see some new things happen down there. As you know, and if you've driven by Town Common lately, you've seen that there's a new park, the Trillium Park, that's being built right now, which is going to be a great addition down there. But there's other aspects that we want to see take place down there. And one of the things that this last city council meeting, I want to say 2 Thursdays ago, that Councilmember Godley brought up, and I second the motion, was we wanted to look at bringing in private funds to help develop Town Common. One of the things that we noticed from this last meeting that we had with the engineering firm was that it's going to be extremely expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking, estimate wise, I'm thinking between $30 and $50 million to be able to enact what Roadside Harwell has brought together. And that's, to me, it's just not feasible as a city for us to be able to do this on our own. And they've championed it themselves. They've said that it would be a great idea to bring in private investment, and that's one of the things that we're looking to do. So that hopefully that brings everybody up to kind of speed what's going on down there.
Well, the first plan, I served on that committee. The first plan that we worked on, I mean, it's over 10 years old, and it was really just a start for a master plan, and it was more like leaving it at that particular point, more like a park. There's a huge amount of space. It'd be wonderful as a park, but it's such a valuable piece of the puzzle for Uptown and people aren't just going to, I don't think, anymore. Things have changed even in 10 years or more. Just go there for a park. There's got to be a little bit more of a drawing card to me than just a park. It's just, I mean, it's great to go there to fish. It's great. Even the park they're building is going to be awesome, but that's not going to be enough of the population to get the use out of the valuableness of the land and the river that I think. So I think we're probably on the right track. Even then, just to do what they wanted to do, and that wasn't really hardly any buildings. I think there was one or two small buildings. I mean, the cost of it was $13 million just to do just a little bit of stuff. So obviously, for the amount of money you're talking about at this point, I mean, even then we couldn't do that. It was going to have to be grants and various things, various amounts of help from the federal government and other places. So obviously, I think it will definitely take some private dollars. And I think a lot of it could still be preserved and have the right look if it's designed properly, and the people who come in with the private dollars or their other ideas, do it the right way. What are your thoughts on that, Michael?
Well, I'm glad that we're talking about, that phrase, public-private partnerships. I mean, I'm so glad that this is finally a part of this conversation. 20 acres. I mean, this is huge. I was looking at some aerial photographs of downtown Wilmington, downtown New Bern, and downtown Greenville. And, I think both fortunately and unfortunately, we've got this asset, the Town Common. The thing that I think is unique is that where the Town Common is really our only accessible waterfront in Greenville. And if you look at New Bern and you look at Wilmington, they have not consumed their most accessible point or part of their downtown with a park. Don't get me wrong. Green space is great. We need it. There's something to be said for having this sort of blank slate that we've got, and I'm all in favor of retaining the recreation elements and just the open park space. But I really think there's an opportunity to do something much bigger. Right. I mean, much bigger. Greenville's known to be we've got such a great reputation as a sports city, and coming here for football, and what do people take away when they leave Greenville? You visit Greenville Boulevard, you visit Red Banks Road. I mean, there's until you get downtown, you don't really see the character that Greenville has, and I think this common. Again, I'll say blank slate. We've got to think big. I think that dedicating all of this to park space is we're not really looking at what we could be achieving there. And I'm not a developer. I'm somebody who's lived here most of my life. My family's run a business downtown, and I think it's going to take something really impactful to get people to the river. Even at First Street, there's a big disconnect, just physically from the from First Street to the water. You can barely see the water. So
that's right.
Again, I don't know that I've got all kinds of wishes, but when it comes down to dollars and cents, I know PJ and the council have taken a hard look at is potentially ahead of us, but certainly I think that having the private sector on board to look at this master plan is important, and that we don't throw a bunch of different elements at it and miss.
Right. Well, that has been my concern. Like, for instance, I don't mind using the park as an example that's being built right now. I realized we were up, in order to get the money, if I understand the way this worked, we were up against the timeline. We had to make some decisions in order to get the funding.
Sure.
It had to be done by a certain time, and I'm not sure. You couldn't have put it like right in the middle. Even if the
Yeah.
plan had been, it would look better or be better here or here. I think probably it was placed at the best point to leave the rest of the town common available for some sort of development. And you hate to use that word, and I don't use it loosely because people just freak out when you use the word development. But we mean that in the correct way. If it's a restaurant or if it's a small hotel, I don't know. I'm not saying that that's the right thing. But there has got to be a drawing card. It has got to be something that pulls a large amount of the population to the town common and get them in the habit of going for a specific purpose. They're not going to go there. A large amount of people aren't going to go there to fish. They're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
They are going to go there for the park, but it's still only going to be a certain population. They're not going to go. They're going to go there for the park, but then they're going to want something else, a place to eat or a place to hang out or a place to do something else. So I think that's what the private dollars are going to have to offer, because the city just can't do it. If we could do it, we'd be doing it all over town. We'd be
Yeah.
doing little pockets of these types of things everywhere. That's not, to me, the business of the city. But the private sector wants to do those types of things. That's what they're in the business of doing, opening up businesses. So I think we should give them that opportunity to certainly finish out the piece of puzzle for Uptown Greenville would be to open up that part.
Yeah, and I think Michael brought up a really good point too. It seems like we've had such a big urban revitalization over on Fifth Street and Dickinson Avenue. I know you're real familiar with that. What's going on there? You've got a vested interest down there, but like you said, one of the big things is between that area, we want people to be able to travel from Fifth Street and Dickinson Avenue, and we want them to go through and walk through our uptown area.
Right.
We want them to go and patronize all the businesses that are there. We want them to be able to go down to Town Common, and be able to spend some time. And, we want them to park on 5th Street, and we want them to walk past, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st
Sure.
Street, and hit all those businesses along the way, and then have to walk past them again. Because that's the main thing. You want to get people into your stores as a business owner. I know you can relate to that, and, we appreciate you being a great business owner in the uptown area. Can you give us some ideas of some new things that are taking place in the uptown right now?
Well, there's a ton happening. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better with all the construction that's going on. But
crazy.
it's a necessary evil. The 10th Street connector is a huge plus that's happening right at our back door, where we are now in the Dickinson Avenue area. And I think it's exciting. I think that there's a lot of opinions that are going to flood into these discussions as this momentum builds for downtown, uptown. Again, I think it's important that we can always play it safe, but there's few opportunities to really take a leap and really put something out there that could be a game changer. So I think uptown and the area in general is gonna be great. I think all the pieces are falling into place. We've got a hotel coming on board, and
Right.
I think there's a lot that's probably in planning that might not be public yet, but
Right.
there's plenty to be excited about.
And there's something going on in a new building sort of near Starlight. I don't know if that's public knowledge, but I believe it might be.
Yeah, I
It
think
seems
that's
like
going to be
something's, maybe a brewery or something
brewery
going
is
on.
coming there, and
Yeah.
in fact, I understand that there's several breweries in the making for Greenville.
Right.
So we've gone from zero to
You're right.
to several, in a short period of time. So.
And that sort of encompasses different age groups. And people were, always saying there were bars or whatever for like the college age and all of that. But this is, I guess, for maybe your age groups. I don't know. I'm a lot older than you all are. But that maybe 25 to 45 age, will like that's sort of providing a place for that age to go and hang out. I mean, any age, I guess, but I'm just saying, sort of a target area.
And a neat thing I think to point out about this new brewery that we're talking about is that building's been vacant for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand, that was sitting vacant without this opportunity, and they were able to get some grants from the state, and the city matched, I think, with a $3,000 grant. I think it was a $60,000 grant total from the state. But I mean, we were able to put a business down there, so. I mean, to me, that's a huge improvement, and that shows the momentum that's building down there, and that's just a small piece of the puzzle with everything else, the hundreds of $1 million that are being invested down there. So that's a big thing in my opinion.
I think that Greenville is going to run out of building inventory very quickly. If you drive to Rocky Mount, I was picking somebody up in Rocky Mount at the train station a week ago, and I thought, what a beautiful downtown. I mean, they've got so many beautiful buildings that have been untouched. And,
I know.
And the rail right there. I mean, what a great asset that is. But Greenville, we've lost so many. Great properties that demolition and urban renewal that now we're kind of in a hurry to build that back. And I'd like to comment. How are we on time? Make a comment about. I attended the Monday meeting at City Hall about the Town Common plan, and I sat in on that on a committee that looked at this closer earlier this year. With the consulting firms, and something I thought about on Monday night. The Elliott Roadside, if I'm saying that right, okay, presented during his presentation. There were aerial photographs shown of downtown, and specifically of Town Common, also the Five Points area. And I thought, what a shame that we lost 5 Points, and I think it's kind of cool that through the city's efforts we've gained back a great parking lot / flex space that we know is 5 Points Plaza now, right. and in a way, and I think that I feel like that area has also kind of become a town common, if you will. It's surrounded by business and activity, and it seems to attract a lot of groups that want to host events in Greenville. Back to aerial photography, the photographs of the town common were really striking to me, and it showed that whole 20 acres with a grid street system and residential, and of course that was changed through the process of urban renewal. Right. But one of the things that frustrates me is we look back at these photos of what was. And we're trying to figure out where do we go from here? And, I think that again, when I look at the Town Common plan, I see a beautiful space, but I feel like we don't, like you said, PJ, it's too much for the city to take on and maintain and have to direct, what's the next step of this going to be. So I think looking at those pictures and realizing what we had, some of that street infrastructure that was there, for instance, might not be a bad thing to consider again. One of the things you got to do is get people down to the water. Right. And again, I referenced New Bern and Wilmington. You can drive down to the water. Yeah, you don't want to turn it into a parking lot.
Oh, but, I know.
It's just a thought.
Well, even at Virginia Beach, which is the ocean, not a river, but you can drive, down past the buildings. Certain times of the year, they open that up, and you can actually go see the water. Yeah. But I take people on tours, when they're coming to Greenville, and you cannot see. I mean, you have to stretch your neck and see the river is over there. And you can go down occasionally into the parking lot, which isn't a very nice thing. But I tell them what's on the horizon for us. I explain to them it's going to be different. And when you move here and make this your home, eventually we're going to have something really, nice for you to experience at Town Common. But you're right. But I think in the plan there was at one time, and I think it's on even this scope description, that they would change that street so that it'd be narrow or there'd be some parking there. But I don't know if that will help us be able to see any better.
Now,
So-
one of the things I think that they will do that you'll see a huge difference, and one of the things that's on both master plans that they presented was they're talking about, I believe it's called a moving walkway down there, and what they're going to do is they want to take out the bulkhead that's there right now, because the bulkhead is on the verge of failing. They said it's
it
about
needs
10 to
work.
15 years, I think, away from being at its full capacity. So they had talked about that, and I think, to be honest with you, I think that's really going to open it up to the river. I think that you're going to you'll be able to see it from First Street a lot better, and I think you're going to connect with the river a little bit
Right.
more.
I like that idea.
Yeah, that does sound like
There's a real
plan.
disconnect, even when you're standing down there to
Oh, absolutely.
to the water. So
Yeah, that's right. Well, switching gears just real quickly before we take our next break, some ideas and thoughts about what's going on in Uptown activities. We've got a big weekend this Friday night, don't we? With
we've
the first
got
free boot.
First free boot. Everybody gets excited about that. I think.
know.
In fact, I think we're just wrapping up the last umbrella market
Right.
of the season, and I think Uptown Bianca and her team do a great job with programming the umbrella markets, and it's been a busy summer despite the heat.
I know.
Which has just been terrible.
Terrible.
But I think Free Boot's going to be will probably be very lively. I know they've got some entertainment coming, and there is a lot going on,
Yeah.
and I feel a little bit out of the loop.
Yeah,
but,
that's okay. That's
it's
all
going to be a
right.
busy weekend in Greenville, and with the kids back, and you can definitely tell there's a different kind of pulse.
I think they're still doing the shuttles to get you from maybe Free Boot to the games or to certain
That's
area,
right.
maybe Sup Dog
there will
area
be.
or something to the
And I think
games.
we've got the Sup Dogs
That's what it is.
shuttle.
That's right.
And so we appreciate their support.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think it'll encourage people to come uptown and experience Free Boot and get people on their feet and out of their cars
That's
a little
right.
bit.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, why don't we take our next break and we'll come back in just a few minutes and wrap things up for today's show. Welcome back. We've had a great discussion about our town common and about other things that are going up and all around our uptown area. We've discussed a little bit about, I'll just touch on this briefly, we really do have I don't even know how to say it, but a pure mess with our roads right now. If we can all just stay calm and stay together with it, in about 3 years, we're going to really be in such a great benefit from everything. Outside of the 10th Street Connector, there's things going on all over town that are just going to make it so much easier for us to get around and get to where we need to be. So I'm excited about all of that, but it's just a big mess. We'll probably have Kevin on in another week or two and maybe give us an update on how all that's coming. But I think it's just very interesting. You were talking about the 5th Street Plaza.
Yes. 5
And
points.
when you stand, 5 points, yes. When you stand there though now, and you can look down the streets, and you really do get to see. I grew up in the uptown area; it was downtown then, and you can just really look and see the different angles and how far you can see. And even now that they've torn down the Pew's location, they're getting ready to do some construction there, and you didn't really realize how large that piece of land was till they cleared everything down. And I mean, it's an exciting time, and we should all be really, really excited about what's happening in Greenville and what we're going to all be able to have in the next 5 years. It's just exciting time. It's a very exciting time. What's going to be offered?
I think all the construction and a little bit of the mess you see when you drive around is also to our benefit, and that people are going to be curious about what's going on. I mean, you definitely can't say there's nothing happening in Greenville right now.
There is.
So I think in the next couple of years there's going to be big changes and the little bit of headache that we have to put up with in the meantime with detours and road closures is part of getting there. But we've had great partnership with DOT and Public Works with making sure that our roads stay open and accessible during the construction, and business owners being patient. And so we're grateful that the city's a good partner in getting through this to the goal.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll tell you, I'm really excited about Dickinson Avenue in general. I mean, if you drive along Dickinson Avenue, we've had more complaints. I have more people that call us up and and complain about how the potholes on Dickinson Avenue are just terrible, and I always have to push them off and say, I'm sorry, that's a DOT road. That's something the city doesn't maintain. But I don't know if you've driven over by where Arlington all the way to the Greenville Boulevard, Allen Road entrances where they redid that entire road, and now I think in the next 2 years between now and I think 2018 they're going to finish doing the rest of that, and then with the addition to the sidewalk development project and all the new businesses on Dickinson Avenue. Dickinson Avenue is going to be transformational. I mean, it's absolutely going to be transformational. From being here in school, 10 years ago,
Right.
12 years ago, driving up and down Dickinson Avenue,
Right.
and most of those buildings were vacant. I mean, that's a huge change for our city, and I'm
It
really
is.
excited about that.
Feels like all of a sudden Dickinson Avenue is coming to life. So
Absolutely.
Well, I'm also hoping, because when you leave, like where the Krispy Kreme area is, and head toward Hastings Ford, 10th Street's a mess. When you cross over Elm, I mean, you have to just dodge. And so I'm hoping when the 10th Street connector is finished, that they'll keep continuing to pave. We just got to have them all done. So I'm hoping that all of that, we'll see all of that come to pass. That some of that's got to happen before 5 years, but when the whole project is done, I think that we'll all be really, really happy. And it is great too, because all of this construction is just like when people start seeing new homes in our business being constructed. Everybody gets excited about the market, and then they want to buy it. I think we're going to see the same thing with businesses wanting to come to our city and start opening up, and new factories and new manufacturers coming. They're going to see progress, and that's what they're looking for. And we have obviously a workforce here, so I think we've got the total package, and I think we're all coming together, and I think that's what it's all about. So I'm really excited about it.
And hopefully the town common will be the crowning jewel to that
I
revitalization.
think so. I think so. I think it's a really valuable part of the puzzle, but
Yeah.
but I do believe it's going to take something big down there as a drawing card
Agreed.
to make it happen and to make it worthwhile and be good, maybe tax-wise too. You just don't know how they'll work all that out.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we wanted to make sure when we brought it up about private partnerships.
Right.
One of the things that we said was we wanted to leave it a blank slate, open canvas. We want developers, we want local entrepreneurs, business people to come to us with different options. And that was one of the things that we really wanted to focus on. We said, we don't want to restrict it. We're not saying we're going to go ahead and do anything you bring to us.
Right.
We just want the opportunity for people to come in, bring their ideas, and make Greenville even better than what it is right now. And that was our main focus.
That's it. That is good. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we thank our sponsors again, Greenville Toyota, Ribeye Steakhouse, Overton Residential Properties. You can join us Fridays at 6:30 and Saturday mornings at 9:30, and join us again next week. Thank you again for being with us.